Back in October 2020, Retro Games Limited teased us with this post on their Facebook page. The silhouette caused much speculation at the time. Were they going to release a Commodore 128? Were they going to release an Amiga? The speculation went on all over their Facebook page. However, a little detective work solved this conundrum for me. As you can see, when I cut out the image of an Amiga 500 and pasted it over the top of the silhouette, all became clear, or so I thought. Great, we're getting an Amiga 500. This is a machine that many people had said that they would purchase if Retro Games were to build one. However, the last piece of the puzzle that I could only speculate on at the time was, would this machine be a Mini or, as the unofficial term has become, a Maxi? Retro Games eased my curiosity on August the 10th, 2021 with this post stating, TheA500 Mini. So we were getting a Mini, which made sense since this was the order of release for the C64. On August the 12th, Retro Games made this announcement regarding the Maxi on their Facebook page. They say that the C64 Mini has sold approximately 80% of the total volume of sales opposed to just 20% for the C64 Maxi, and this is why they are releasing the A500 as a mini version. At the bottom of the post, they go on to say that they will release the full-size version as soon as practical. So I would imagine this would only be after successful sales of the A500 Mini. In this way, they have enough profit to invest in the tooling up for the injection moulding of the larger case and development of a working keyboard. However, one thing to be mindful of is the sheer size of the original Amiga 500. Here, we can see one happily swallowing up an entire dining room table. This leads to the question, do I really want a full-sized replica, or a Maxi as they've become known? You know what? I don't think I do. I'd definitely like a working keyboard, maybe something more along the lines of a 65% keyboard. This size would be more ideal, large enough to type on, but not so large as I need to build a second home to store it in. Let's take a closer look at the A500 Mini. It emulates not only the Amiga 500, but also the 600 and 1200. And it includes 25 classic games and the ability to load your own from USB, so very much like the C64 or the VIC-20 in this matter. One of the great features of modern recreated machines, like this one, is the ability to save and resume a game at any time. Let's face it, we're all a lot older now. We have more responsibilities, such as jobs, kids of our own, having to cook meals, etc. So being able to save a game at any point and then just jump in where we left off at any time in the future is a great feature, and I really like it. The Retro Games ad shows off the mouse and gamepad that the A500 Mini comes supplied with. Don't get too excited though, neither are wireless. I suspect this is for both cost savings and a real retro feel. Let's face it, there were no wireless peripherals back in the day. I'm looking forward to find out if the mouse features an old school ball or if it's an optical mouse. Optical would be cheaper to manufacture and more reliable, and I certainly wouldn't miss having to clean out the fluff that gathers around the ball. The gamepad is definitely a nod to the Amiga CD32 gamepad, and it looks quite cool in my opinion. Next to mention are the included games. There's 25 of them. I've listed them all in the description down below, but here are a few that stand out to me. There's Battle Chess, Pinball Dreams, Simon the Sorcerer, Worms, and of course Zool. Looking at the rear of the A500 Mini reveals what appears to be a power button, power supply connection, HDMI connection, and 3 USB ports. I would have liked to have seen 4 USB ports on the Mini, meaning that the mouse, gamepad, a USB flash drive, and external USB keyboard could all be connected at the same time without the need for an external USB hub. For the Maxi, this of course won't be an issue, since the keyboard will be built in. Let's take a quick look at the original Amiga 500 on Wikipedia. Here we can see that the release year was 1987 and the price of the machine was a whopping £499. So how does that compare to today's money? Well, if we visit the Bank of England, they've got this nifty little tool here where we can enter £499 and select 1987. And unfortunately, the most recent year we can select is 2020. So let's click on show amount. Wow, £1,435. That really was an expensive machine. So by comparison, the A500 Mini is quite cheap. But then again, it is just a toy. whereas the original Amiga 500 was a family computer with a working keyboard. Now don't get me wrong, £120 is still a lot of money to spend on what is essentially a toy, but the point I'm trying to make here is how expensive the original Amiga 500 was back in the day. The Amiga 500 had a Motorola 68000 CPU running at a blistering speed of 7.09 MHz. Don't forget, many people were coming from the Commodore 64, so this really was lightning speed in comparison. The stock model boasted half a megabyte of RAM, and I cannot stress how much memory that seemed to me as a 7-year-old child coming from something that only had 64 kilobytes of RAM. And as for graphics, the maximum PAL resolution was 736 by 567 interlaced at 4 bits per pixel. This really was a cool machine. So this hardware, along with its custom chips, really is a lot more of a beast to emulate when compared to the Commodore 64. Did I order one? Yes. Watch this space. Will I order a Maxi? Not sure yet. As mentioned, I feel that the Maxi would be a little bit too large for a casual toy, maybe if it was released as a 65% size or something along these lines. Also, let's see what cost it's released at.